Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hillbilly Think Tank with Spencer Kett, and I'm coming at you live from Tunnel Hills in Hardin County, Kentucky, where we know that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what it's all about. Anything else is just a bunch of gaslighting. So let's get with it. What is going on this week? Hey, Dang, good to see you there. See some of my watchers out there. So we know we have a lot of shenanigans going on right now in the US. The war is back on hot again with Iran after, supposedly it being over. We know this is just a bunch of flim flam because the president knows with the War Powers Act, it's been over 60 days. He's supposed to get congressional approval. So he tried to tell us there is no war, the war's off. Well, it's gotten hot again with ships fighting each other. So while that's going on, we've also got a war on voters' rights once again. You know, we've taken so many steps forward in this nation, absolutely. But then we've got a whole group of folks who seems bent on making sure to take us back to what, the 1930s. Um, it's absolutely seems so. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to get on to talking about RounUp. But first, let's see what is going on in Memphis, because this is extremely important. And we cannot forget when some of our fellow U.S. citizens are being deprived of their voting rights or their right to be heard in the U.S. Congress.
Protests didn't stop Republicans from approving a new map Thursday that carves up the state's sole Black majority congressional district in Memphis. It is the only one of Tennessee's 9 seats that is currently represented by a Democrat, and it is likely we will see other states do the same soon. Now, this map is red. We are talking every single district, and to achieve that, they split Shelby County, where Memphis is located, into 3 different GOP-leaning districts. Now, Republicans say they used party and population data, not race, to draw a map that basically gives them a partisan but legal advantage. Democrats say they don't buy it.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
So why is this happening, and why now? Well, Tennessee is the first, but likely not the last state to redraw its maps into a more openly partisan gerrymander after last month's blockbuster Supreme Court decision that gutted a key remaining provision of the Voting Rights Act that protected the voting power of minority communities. Alabama, Louisiana, and South Carolina in the past few days have all taken steps towards redistricting as well. But even before the Supreme Court decision, it has been a wild few months. Texas kicked off a rare mid-cycle flurry of tit-for-tat redistricting last year when President Trump requested they redraw their maps to help him hang on to his slim majority in the U.S. House. Since then, 8 states, including North Carolina, California, and Virginia, have redrawn their maps, some benefiting Republicans, some benefiting Democrats. It has upended election calendars and undoubtedly caused confusion for voters. Tennessee goes to the polls for their primary elections on August 6th.
So, again, the flim flam is back, and we are just absolutely caught in the middle of a grab of rights, taking rights away, and trying to take us back to, I don't know, the late 1700s. It's just absolutely infuriating. And, I would say a bit terrifying, but hopefully folks are going to start en masse voting for the first time in our history. We call ourselves a democracy and a republic, and yet we have one of the lowest voter turnouts in all of the democracies of the world. So we've got to get serious about it. All right. Next up, RounUp. There is a huge legal battle that's just been waged, and a gentleman claimed that his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was caused by RounUp, and he's won his suit against Bayer. Now, why is this important? Well, one of the Make America Healthy Again, their huge things was that using RounUp was causing cancer and that it needed to be regulated and or taken off the market. But Captain Bonespurs got some kickback from Bayer, and they're like, hey, we'll give some money to your campaign, buy some Bitcoin, and make sure that we are never, ever going to have to listen to any restrictions on our product. And so he mandated that federally no one will ever make problems for RounUp. And that is a federal deal now, according to him. And so, the Make America Healthy Again folks feel like he has absolutely let them down on one of his promises, because that was their big deal during the campaign. So, all right, let's get a little background on this, and then I'll look. I see, so got some folks making comments about it already, and I'd love to hear them. We'll check them out as soon as we look at a little bit of history.
50 years ago, Monsanto invented something that would change the world forever.
Roundup. No root, no weed, no problem.
But Roundup was more than just a good weed killer.
We've been using the weed killer for decades, but now it's at the center of a billion-dollar health scandal.
Did Roundup weed killer cause a man to get cancer?
There's many diseases that are linked to glyphosate exposure.
My doctor, he goes, I think this is all due to Roundup.
What made Roundup so effective was the chemical glyphosate, that thanks to Monsanto has become the most popular pesticide in the world, and now one that's linked to cancer.
My patient's dying just so their shareholders can make a few more bucks, just so their CEO can get a bonus.
Despite its links to cancer, Roundup is still a billion-dollar business. So how exactly did Monsanto pull this off?
There was an intentional effort to deceive that took place over many decades.
And now Monsanto has a new owner, a billion-dollar pharmaceutical firm. And together, they're working on a way to keep selling Roundup, no matter the cost.
This is right out of the tobacco industry playbook from decades ago. And we got to make sure that politicians don't fall for it again this time.
Well, how are we going to make sure the politicians don't fall for it again this time when we are a nation that is run on the idea that corporations are people too? When Citizens United, came out, that's what they decided. the Supreme Court said corporations are people too. Now, I've never had a root beer and shared it with a corporation. Can't do it. But ever since the Supreme Court made that decision, every single person that goes to DC is inundated by money constantly from corporations, because that's them acting and behaving as individuals, as people, according to the Supreme Court. This, to me, is the root cause of almost all of our problems right now. And when we have folks like Elon Musk paying people millions if they'll vote for a particular candidate, as they did the last election, yeah, we are bought and sold by corporations. So, do we expect that this union of big pharma and big ag industrial conglomerates coming together, as Bayer did when it bought RounUp, do we think that they're actually going to ever be held accountable and that they're going to stop this? When we stopped big tobacco, there hadn't been a decision made saying that corporations were people. Or Philip Morris would have said, hey, yeah, I'm Philip, and I send my son, Morris, to have a root beer with people all the time. That's what people do. But yeah, we know that's not how it goes. But that's how the Supreme Court says it goes.
It would kill pretty much any plant it was sprayed on. That was in the period when we were naive about a lot of things.
John Gilbert is a farmer in Iowa who's seen how Roundup came to dominate agriculture in the state.
I think it's gone from a habit to an addiction.
Roundup came on the market in 1974. By the 90s, Monsanto had developed something to turn Roundup from a convenient tool to a necessity.
Monsanto had this brilliant idea to roll out what they called genetically modified crops.
Genetically modified crops were seeds that Monsanto engineered to be resistant to Roundup. So when farmers sprayed their fields, it would kill the weeds, but not their crops.
It was a big ground shift when when the modified crops came out, because it was orders of magnitude difference in how much was being used.
In 1974, 1.4 million pounds of glyphosate were used in U.S. agriculture. By 2014, that number had grown to 276 million pounds.
It became the world's most widely used weed killer, and Monsanto's profits just went through the roof.
Roundup was responsible for half of Monsanto's total sales in 2000. It was called a savior for the farmer because it was so effective while supposedly being safer than other pesticides.
There were some people associated with Monsanto who would describe it as safe enough to drink.
You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually.
That came really from a comparison to a rival weed killer called Paraquat that was sold by a competitor to Monsanto. And Paraquat, very much, if you would swallow even a teaspoon of it, you would be dead within a matter of weeks.
But Monsanto marketed Roundup as an alternative that was safe for humans and the environment.
They say, oh, it disappears when it hits the soil, so that makes it safe.
I've learned in my life, if it kills insects, if it kills weeds, kills fungus, it can't be helpful to you.
Jim Huberger grew up working on his family's farm, where they used Roundup to control weeds in their soybean fields and later at a plant nursery.
Jim would use a backpack to use Roundup around those areas in the pot and around the greenhouse.
In 2022, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer with links to glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup.
For people who don't know, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's not curable. You could treat it. You could put it into remission, but it's not curable.
The cancer risks of pesticides like glyphosate have been hidden from the public for decades.
The first hint that this chemical may not be as safe as people thought really was back in the 1980s.
Back in 1985, one study submitted to the EPA revealed that mice who were given glyphosate developed tumors.
You could see that the EPA scientists at that time were very worried about this product and thought that it looked like it could be oncogenic, that it could cause cancer.
The EPA issued a memo listing glyphosate as a Category C oncogen, meaning it was possibly carcinogenic to humans. But Monsanto didn't just accept these findings. They lobbied for the EPA to change its findings for 6 years, which it did.
The EPA ultimately capitulated to Monsanto and said, all right, we'll discount those findings and we will agree with you that it doesn't cause cancer.
So, 80s, we know who was president then. We know why that would have been the case, where they would have capitulated in the EPA and said, okay, we'll quit talking about it being a carcinogen. But we have had plenty of time now, since the 80s, 90s, 2000s now rolled around. We know that it's carcinogenic. We also know that this agricultural industrial complex that Monsanto, Bayer, and others run, it is not willing to lose these billions in profits. You got to realize that 300 million acres of farmland are sprayed with this chemical every single year. And that's not to mention yards that use it, golf courses that use it. You know, this is absolutely a very, very serious carcinogen. And there's a Missouri man now with this non-Hodgkin lymphoma who sprayed it for 20 years, and he won his case against Bayer. So what is at stake for us now? It's whether the EPA approved labels override states' failure to warn laws, because states have been now saying, okay, we're going to warn people about this. But the federal government, Captain Bonespurs, does not believe the states have any right to do this. And we know who is in Captain Bonespurs' ears whispering that, and probably more than whispering, that they do not want problems with this product. They want to be able to see it sold and pushed heavily for years to come. They don't care. And we know that no one is drinking that stuff, regardless. Well, like I said, he didn't take a cup and drink it on TV. That was complete, absolute gaslighting of us. And so the gaslighting is continuing. What is it that we're going to do? Because lots of folks here in this county have seen their family members hit by diseases such as this non-Hodgkin's lymphoma caused by RounUp. All right, we got Tom on here. Welcome back, Tom. Tom says, despite the advertising and popularity of RounUp, I haven't used it for years. My folks allowed it only for poison ivy, but even for that, I've had good results with vinegar-based weed spray. Tom also says, a gallon of 30% vinegar, a cup of Epsom salts, and a short squirt of Dawn dish soap in a garden sprayer. Keep yourself upwind because 30% vinegar is strong. Hardware stores sell it. Yeah. And I've actually got it myself. I bought it to clean my bathroom with instead of using other chemicals that are harmful to us. So I agree. All right. Tom also says, what a coincidence that so many of the states eager to gerrymander the hell out of things were traitor states in the 1860s. Yeah, it's just a coincidence. All right. So now, again, I urge everyone, if you haven't downloaded the 5 Calls app that I've talked about before, download it, make calls, urge our representatives to do something about this situation with RounUp. It is affecting us and we need to get real serious about it. We can't keep on killing folks with this product just to make Bayer rich. There are alternatives that are healthy, and we can still grow healthy crops without having to have our genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, which Monsanto produced, as you heard there, a hybrid seed that would not be affected by Roundup. The plant will still grow through Roundup sprayed soil. Well, what happened with that? Once Monsanto made that hybrid seed, put a patent on it, now if you go to plant soybean seeds and you plant Monsanto seed, and one of your seeds blows into the farm of your neighbor who isn't using Monsanto seeds, but is using their own heirloom seeds that they get every year, well, once that modified soybean seed is growing in your neighbor's field, that neighbor gets sued by Monsanto for growing the seed that has a patent and not paying for it. It's happened before. You can look it up. So this is an absolute monopoly we're talking about, in addition to an atrocious attack on the sovereignty of farming. All right, next up, let's just look at a couple things before we sign off. I know it's Sunday, and somewhere I remember in Sunday school at one time hearing about a golden calf and how that was an abomination according to my Sunday school lessons. But it seems that that's no problem in MAGA land. So this is an actual statue dedicated in Mar-a-Lago, where MAGA evangelical leaders gathered to bless and dedicate this gold statue dedicated to Captain Bonespurs himself. And Captain Bonespurs even did a call-in with them to thank them and to bless those who get their photos taken with his golden statue. Yeah. And they want us to have the 10 Commandments posted in classrooms, and yet they're fine with this? Oh, the irony. I don't think they ever studied irony in their classrooms. So, it's been so long now that we've had this war that's been hot again, cool again, hot again, cool again. And it just seems like, I don't know what, there are bombing partners with benefits now. And what is the benefit? Well, the Epstein case is so bad, the government gave you a war, a new virus, and aliens to keep you distracted from it. So with that, do with it as much as you need, as long as you need. Think about it. Yeah, I think that's a funny meme. There may be quite a bit of truth to it. It's one of my memes of the day. So, all right, y'all. Again, it's only democracy in a republic at stake here. Let's all get serious about it. Remember, we've got our primary elections coming up. Just a matter of days, about 9 days away. And we've got the November midterms. These are all riding on making great decisions during the primaries. Electing people who will not be bought out by corporations like Bayer and Monsanto, who will not be bought out by the Epstein class. That's all there is to it. We've got to get serious, get to work, vote often, vote early, and hey, drive anyone you know that can't get to the polls, give them a ride to the polls so that they can help save this democracy. Remember, please like and subscribe and pass on the news. And let's all have a great week. Remember, everyone deployed. And remember that we are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. And we know that if we remember that, we won't be divided, and we'll live up to Kentucky, the Kentucky motto of united we stand, divided we fall. Bless your corazon and have an amazing, amazing week.
He grew because he went forth, flourished on farms across